Okay. Yes. So the recordings are on the Morning Mindset page. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. We are back into the groove. Yesterday was Easter Monday. And so I know it was a holiday for some of you, and it feels good to be getting back into routine fully. My kids are back to school today, so we're just getting ready for an awesome week ahead. And so, yeah, so yesterday we talked about cultivating bold belief, and how confidence is not just something that we're born with, but it's something that we can build. And I hope that excites you because we may not feel the most confident in different situations, but it's something that we can acquire and we can work on and we can build up. And so today we're going to take the belief that we talked about yesterday and we're going to put it into words. And I love talking about words. I love grammar. I'm like the grammar police when it comes to a lot of things. I don't know whether you're the same, but I enjoy reading. I grew up in a home where we didn't have a TV, and so reading was my pastime. And I developed a passion for learning and for reading and for really being able to like visualize a story and see things differently. And it's something I resented very much at the time when I was growing up. I just wish we had a TV. But I look back now at my life and I am super grateful that I really do enjoy to learn and to read. And I think that words are just so beautiful, right? You can say the same thing in two different ways and it comes across completely different. It can have the exact same meaning. It could be the exact same words, right? And you've probably heard instances of that where, when the wife says, "I'm fine," versus like, "I'm fine." There's two totally different meanings to that. And so, that's kind of what got me thinking about it. And so, what is your go-to feeling when I talk to you? We talked really specifically, I guess, about business yesterday and about taking the confidence that we have into business and into situations where we're ideally hoping to close a customer. And so, what's your go-to feeling when it's time to message someone about the business? Like, if I said to you, okay, guys, right now we're all going to stop and we're all going to send out a message, like, what's your instinctual reaction? Are you, well, I'm going to leave it. You guys drop in the chat. I would love to hear your thoughts. How does that make you feel? Do you get excited? Do you get fearful? Like, I don't do it, says Tony. Okay, well, that is a good place to start, right? If we're not doing anything, then we need to think about that. What's holding us back, right? Anxious, excited, nervous, freaked out. Okay. These are very honest. I appreciate it. Depends what mood I'm in. Excited. Okay. All right. So when you go to approach people, when you go to approach your business, if how are you feeling? Sometimes we're feeling nervous. Sometimes we're feeling hopeful. Sometimes we're feeling fired up, right? Maybe you get off a call and you're like super fired up and you go to put that energy into your business. Maybe you are avoidant. Some of you that are like, I just don't do it. You avoid it altogether, right? Maybe you're unsure. Maybe you're excited. I second that. It depends on my mood. Yes, avoidant. Okay. I love that you guys are relating here. Okay. We're making new friends and new connections. We're all on the same page in this group. We all have these moments and we're going to go through these different emotions and these different feelings when it comes to working our business. And I think it's good to know that we're not alone, right? Just be honest. And whether you feel excited or whether you feel hesitant, I'm hopeful that today, us having this conversation is going to help you build um, like messaging muscles, right? As we talk about all the mindset, everything is like building a muscle. And so we're gonna do that. We're gonna build a muscle that makes business building feel more aligned with who you are, more authentic and more effective, right? That's our goal. And I love this. Tony says, yes, avoidant. At least I'm honest. I get so nervous talking about the store and why I love shopping. No problem. The business part, scared. LOL. Okay, so that's good that you can even differentiate that and say, I'm confident in this one area. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I'm confident in this one area, but not so much in the other. And so I'll stick to my comfort zone, right? Is what we end up saying. I'll talk about the things I'm comfortable with. And what happens is we don't give people the full picture. And that's where we lose out because people don't understand what it is that we're truly offering them, right? It's like it's this massive gift wrapped up in a box, and we have to find a way to communicate with someone what's in the box before they even open it. And so that a lot of that comes from our energy. And we talked yesterday about our posture, about how when you're approaching someone and the confidence that comes with it, that really makes a huge difference. But words also matter. And so, here's something powerful is that the words that we say determine the doors that open. Which doors are going to open, right? Words are energy. And so they're either going to invite people or it's going to like repel them. They'll be like, we want nothing to do with this. It's going to connect with people, or maybe it's going to confuse people. The words that we use can cause people to trust us, or it can cause them to get defensive and not trust us, right? And so we have to understand how valuable and how much weight is associated with our words. I started this morning by playing this song that says, Speak Life, because we don't realize how important it is that we do that in our day to day, right? And so when we start to project out into our life the positivity that we want to have, when we start setting that as the tone that's in our mind, and again, guys, like I think this is really powerful, is you if you know me well, I love music and like music is the songs of the soul, right? And so what comes out of you, what you're singing about, actually you're bringing about. And I think I've probably shared this on here, but I really believe that music is like affirmations. Okay. And so some of you like drop in the chat a one if you think like affirmations are super important. And I think that sometimes, and this is a bit of a digression today, but I think sometimes um, in in this business, in this space, we often talk about affirmations, and it's like, we're capable of bringing it about. We're just going to speak it into life. But it also is a very biblical concept, right? The tongue has the power of life and death. And so we don't realize that it's one or the other. And in every moment and in every word, we're essentially choosing life or death. And that sounds really extreme, but it's a reality. And when you think about the music that you listen to, that you let become a loop in your head, that you're singing, that you're humming, that your kids are, chanting without even really putting any thought into it, it is really, really important what we expose ourselves to. And when you stop and you take the time and you listen, I will never forget going over to my sister's house and she had Amazon Music on. And I can't remember what song it was at this time, praise God, but it was like this song that we all knew, that we all hummed along to. And I was sitting there with my nephews on the couch and I looked up at the TV and I read the words that I was humming without consciously thinking about what they were. And I remember like I wanted to vomit that I was like even thinking those words. And my nephews are around. And it was like this whole epiphany moment for me of like, wow, never even realized that's what that was. And I'm humming along with it and I'm coming into agreement with it. And so that's just my personal challenge and caution to you is be aware that whatever music you're playing, you are coming into agreement with it. When you hum along or you sing along, and so is it something that has a positive impact on you? Whatever is good and true and lovely, think on these things. And And so it's important for us to set our minds on things above, on the things that we want to attract in our life, on the things that we want to cultivate and we want to create in our life. And the words that we say determine the doors that we open. Okay. So take that in, write it down. I think it's really powerful when you realize, what doors do I want to open today? Do I want to, open doors of positivity, of hope, of success, of connection, right? Do I want to, um, that's what we want. We're not going to talk about the things we don't want. We're going to focus on what we do want, right? And so we talked about your brain is wired to seek safety, right? Our brain wants things that are, wants to hear a message that feels safe and that feels empathetic, that feels emotions, that feels familiar. And it wants to take in this energy and this tone, right? Where we feel safe and we feel loved. And I will say that this is even more specific for women, that we crave that feeling of safety. And so words that we use really matter. And I think we can agree, we're in the business, most of us here are women, and we are seeking to help other women change their life, find our products, and so if that's the case, we have to make people feel safe about even making a decision, about even looking at what it is that we have to offer. And when we can make someone feel safe, it actually lowers their guard. And their their brain starts to see that you have something to resonate with them, that you get them, right? We all want to feel understood and we want to feel safe. And so we have to think about the words that we use as we communicate with other women and with other people in general, with our children, right? How are we communicating? What tone are we communicating? Are we conveying empathy? Are we conveying love? Are we showing them that we are supportive and there for them, that we believe in them? All of those things really matter. And I know that that is our goal. I know every single one of you, that is, as you're having conversations with people, when you consciously think about it, you would say, of course, I want them to feel safe and I want them to feel loved and I want them to know that I'm here for them and I believe in them and I mean what I'm saying, right? Are we together on that? And so if that's what you are trying to do, and you're in this place where you really want to help people see the vision that you see, and you want them to be able to not question everything, right? We all deal with people that are skeptical. And when we're dealing with people that are skeptical, it's because their brain is saying, I don't know if I really trust this person. I don't know, could this really be true? And so we can say one wrong word and it sets off their salesman alarms, right? And so one of the guys that I have followed or learned from over the years, his name is Big Al. Has anybody else heard of Big Al? Drop in the comments if you have. Big Al. His name is Tom Schreider. And I actually met him in person and went to some workshops with him. And he's like this short little bald man, like teeny tiny little bald man. And but he's brilliant. And so when it comes to sales and marketing and everything, that is his forte. And so yeah, Louis, you know him too. Okay. So, anyways, he's fantastic. And he talks about how we literally set off people's salesman alarms with different words that we use. And if we know that those words are going to set off someone's salesman alarm, I think we would avoid using them, right? But oftentimes we don't. And and so we don't know, exactly how to respond. I see. All right, I'm seeing Tony's comments in here. Yeah, you know what? There's people that are going to use words to hurl insults and to comment on our posts. And so, you know what? sometimes we don't even want other people to read those words. And so it's okay if you need to delete a comment. I give you permission if you need that to do that. And I would just, depending on listen to yourself, like listen to your heart, listen to your discernment. Is it worth your time? Right? There's some people that are not open to having their minds changed. They're causing issues. But I would just say, oh, it was good to have you here, Sherry. Um, I would say, private message them and just say, hey, I saw your comment on my post and I just wanted to respond to you personally so you can address it in a private way where if they've said something negative, you don't need to leave that to be broadcast out to the world, right? Or sometimes it's an opportunity for you to take what someone else has said and use that as a reason to express yourself more clearly or to explain something that might be misunderstood in a public way on your post so everybody else who comes can read it. So, that is my thoughts on that anyhow. But coming back to those words that really truly matter. And so the way that we we speak to people and the way that we understand that their brains are listening to the things that we're saying, we want people to have that light bulb moment of saying, this person gets me. When our message becomes awkward, when our message becomes too direct, when our message becomes vague, when our message feels pushy, the brain says run, right? And that's the reality. Is our brain is naturally going to say, this, I don't feel safe in this moment. I don't know if this person means what they say. We need to run. And so when you position your message, whether you're sending a message, like a text message, um, when you're on a phone call with someone, when you're following up with someone, the way you position it is going to determine how they feel when they hear it. It's not just what you say, it's how you make them feel. So, what makes a message move people, right? If we're talking about different elements of our message that we can think about that are really going to help us to move the needle, the biggest thing I would say is that a confused mind says no, right? Being clear, being able to help people have clarity in our message, that is important. Our message should be simple enough for a sixth grader to understand it. Okay. So think about that and make that like a goalpost for yourself as you're sending a message. Is this something that, a sixth grader, maybe even a first grader could understand? Right? You don't want to make it all this like mumbo jumbo, too much that like you're barfing on people and it's not clear. You've dumped information at them. And so they start to get overwhelmed. You want your message to be clear, to be like human, right? You don't want it to be this salesy pitch. You want it to come from the heart. And so instead of saying, would you be open to watching a 20-minute overview that explains our referral program and our customer model? Like, yes, that's correct and it's direct, but what if you said something like, hey, I've been loving something I started recently, and it's helping me bring in extra income by simply referring a brand I'm already using. Would you be open to hear a quick version of how it works? Right? How does it make you feel hearing those two statements? Would you be open to watching a 20-minute overview video and you're like, I don't know, that doesn't sound too thrilling, right? Or, hey, I'm loving something I started recently. It's helping me bring in extra income. You're like, oh, tell me more about this. People lean in a little bit. And so clarity creates ease, and ease brings people closer to a yes. So think about that as you're speaking with people. Curiosity is another important thing that we're trying to cultivate as we talk to people, right? Curiosity is more powerful than it is pressuring, right? You don't need to give people every single detail. Like I said, you're giving them a reason to lean in and be like, "Ooh, I'm curious. Tell me more." right? When we say, let me tell you everything I know, your brain is like, oh my gosh, I'm about to be so overwhelmed, right? But if you say, can I send you a quick video? Excuse me. Goodness. Can I send you a quick video? I think it'll either click with you or it won't. But either way, I just love your feedback. How does that make you feel? Hopefully, asking in a way like that is going to give people safety, right? It's like there's no pressure. It's it'll either click with you or it won't. But either way, I'd love your feedback, right? It's not pressuring. There's no um, expectation on it. And so that gives them permission to feel however they want to feel. And this is the thing is sometimes we know the outcome that we want, and so we expect people to have that reaction. But we need to give them permission to feel how they feel and to go through that process because then they're going to trust you a little bit more. They're going to say, she's not putting an expectation on me. She's waiting to hear what I think. And everybody loves to give their opinion. That is a truth that is an absolute. People love to give their opinion. And so um, sharing in a way that creates curiosity is important. Also, making a connection with people. If you don't have a relationship with someone, why are they going to trust you? Right? And that's one of the things that I learned from Big Al is about building a rapport and how important it is that you set that tone of like you build rapport with someone. That's the first and most important foundation. Before you can begin to share your opportunity with someone, you have to build rapport. And too oftentimes we jump into like our brain is thinking about how we're going to communicate the offer that we have or what we're trying to tell them about. And so we jump right into that without taking the time to establish a relationship and build rapport. And it makes a difference. It really does. If you start to analyze the situations that you walk into, and if you just take the time to find a common ground with someone before you jump into your offer, they're going to be a whole lot more open-minded to it because basically you want to say to people like, you and I, we're the same. You know what? And find that point of relation. We're both moms. We're both parents. We're both entrepreneurs. We both live in the same city. It's a sunny day for both of us today. Like that is why people literally talk to people about the weather, right? It's that icebreaker. But you want to take it from an icebreaker to having a personal connection point, right? That's something that we share in common. We both get to enjoy the sunny day, but hey, we both have children. Okay, we've walked the same road. There's something that we have in common. Absolutely, Lynn. I appreciated you reaching out. Um, we want to connect, right? I want to connect with you guys. I care. If we care about each other, then there's a different level of respect there. And that's how we need to build that with people that we're going to talk to, even when they're complete strangers, even when it's someone that maybe is next to you in the grocery store lineup. And so it helps to make that connection. I don't know what his account is, to be honest. I have like old recordings from way back in the day, but I will look up, I'll see if I can find some of his stuff and I'll share it. I had a Dropbox actually. I'll see if it's still, if I can share the link to it. I have a whole bunch of different audios and articles and stuff like that, and I've got some good ones from Big Al. Anyways, um, so if we think about making a connection with people and how we can really deepen that level and build that respect, we need to start where they are and not where we are. And too often we approach a conversation starting where we are. And so I I think that we need to have this um, we do have this kind of inner narrative that we have to overcome where we say to ourselves, I don't want this interaction to feel transactional. I want this to be authentic. And as you approach the conversation, continuing to say that to yourself. I want this to be authentic, right? We're going to look people in their right eye. We're going to do the things that we can to help establish that rapport and that connection and to show people our hearts and to say, this is me genuinely and authentically sharing with you how I feel. And so the fix for that to prevent things from feeling transactional, I think, is to really lead with the relationships. So we lead with the connection part, and then we layer in the business. And you could probably agree with me that typically we go into it and we're like leading with the business and then layering in the relationship. And we kind of have it backwards. So we've got to flip that. And so instead of, us just approaching people with our pitch, it's really thinking about them in that situation and saying, hey, I saw your post the other day about, things being tight. And I thought about how amazing you'd be at what I'm doing. I don't know if it's something that you'd be into, but I'd love to just run it by you. Would you be open to hear more about it? Right? It's that non-pressuring approach, but you're coming from a place of saying, I see you, I saw your post, I hear what you're going through. I feel like this would be a perfect fit for you because, right? It now is all about them. Yes, I'm sharing my opportunity, but it's only going to make sense for them because of where they're at in their life. So when it feels like you care about more about them than just getting a yes, they're going to be a whole lot more likely to listen to you. Would you agree? I think that's the truth. And so now we also, after we make a connection with people, again, they need to be able to borrow our confidence because that matters. They don't have the confidence in the business or in the products or in the offer that we're making because it doesn't relate to them. They've never been there before. They don't know what they don't know. And so we have to have the confidence and walking into a situation, people are going to mirror your energy. So, what is that posture that you're putting off? What is your confidence level? What is your body language, even, right? That communicates confidence. So, if you're hesitant or apologetic in your message, people are going to feel that and they're going to hesitate too, right? That's like I say, would you be willing to hear? Do you think you might want to shop? Like, the way that we approach it is like in this little timid, I don't know kind of way, but we need to assume the sale. It is so powerful when you start to assume the sale and you walk into a situation using words like, let's get your order in the system, you know, not, do you want to order? It's not even up for debate anymore. You expressed to me that you have interest in this, so I'm going to assume that you have interest in this, and we're just going to move forward and assume the sale. So we have to use strong words. We have to use words that convey that we're confident. So saying things like, you came to mind. I thought of you because, right? I really believe this could be a fit for you because of X, Y, and Z. We're showing them how it's their unique personality, situation, life skills, whatever it might be, makes them the perfect candidate for what we're offering. Makes us confident that they can make this work because we see the character traits in them that we know are required to create success. So, confidence doesn't mean that you are going to force the outcome, but it means that you own the invitation, right? So, think about that. We are in the process of inviting people to make decisions. So, we don't need to force the outcome. We just want to own the invitation. It's ours. We've invited them. And so there's so many inner narratives that we have, right? That loop that plays in our mind. Every single one of us has something that's playing on a loop in our mind. It's the way that we perceive the world around us that's been cultivated by, the different things that we do, the different life experiences maybe that we've had. And it has created this inner narrative. Um, okay, so we want to name and reframe the limiting stories. This is a constant process we're practicing here, guys, because it's so powerful when you can learn to take your situation and reframe it, when you can learn to identify those limiting beliefs that you've had or that thought pattern that is not serving you. And you're like, where did this even come from? So hopefully you've been with us over the last couple of weeks as we've kind of dove into figuring out what are the limiting beliefs? Where did they stem from? Are they even real? Do I need to still hold true to this thought? And we start to change it, right? We reframe it so that we can have confidence as we are messaging people, as we are talking to them about it. Because our brain is telling us, I don't want to bother people, right? How many of you guys can relate? Drop me a one in the chat if you're like, I don't want to bother people. I know this is a common thing that we all go through, but what if you're blessing them? What if someone out there is praying for an answer that your message can lead them to? You are not bothering them. You're building a bridge. You're going to help them make a connection and have the potential of going to a different place. They can't cross the bridge until you build it. They don't even see what's on the other side until you start building the bridge, start showing them the bridge, and they start looking in a different direction and seeing what's waiting there on the other side. So we've got to reframe that, right? We're here to bless people. What we have is a gift and a blessing. What about, I just don't know what to say, right? Drop me a two if you're like, I just don't know what to say to people. So I just clam up and I hold myself back because I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing because I don't know the right thing to say. That is so common, right? And I'm telling you, that is probably, you're probably got a lot of yellow in your personality and you care what other people think. You care what their perception is going to be of you. You care to not hurt their feelings. It comes from a great place. So be proud of who you are, love who you are, but you're overthinking it and telling yourself that you don't know what to say. All you need to do is start with what's true. When you're honest with people, that makes them feel so respected. And a lot of people don't have that in life. They don't have people that make them feel respected. Like, I care about what you think, right? We are gonna get past that feeling, Louie, because even if we feel like we don't know what to say, you can start with what's true. You can start with one concrete positive. And this takes me back to my days of teaching of like, when you have a student that has a bad day and you could talk about everything that went wrong because guys, the reality is when you have a bad day, it's not just one moment. It's not one moment that goes bad. It starts with your coffee doesn't brew right and then it's the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, right? And you end up having this day that you didn't anticipate. And so the same like with a child, they have a bad day that like it starts with them coming in because they didn't like the pants they had to wear today and then they end up knocking over somebody's tower and they throw their book on the floor and it's one thing after another, right? And so at the end of the day you could sit there and say to the parent, well, Johnny did this and this and this and this and this and this and this, but the reality is we handled it at school. It didn't need to go home with him for him to be chastised again over those same things, right? It's over, it's done with, it's water under the bridge. So what can we focus on? We can focus on the one concrete positive. And it's the same when you go into a conversation with people. You might not know what to say about a whole gamut of things. You might not know the answers to specific products that they might ask you about. And so that could totally overwhelm you into stalling yourself out and take an inaction because you're so afraid of what you're going to say, but you can start with what's true. And this is why it's important for you to speak from a place of excitement. What is it that you love? Rather than trying to explain and give all the details about every little thing, talk about the feelings. Because at the end of the day, the why is more about how are you going to feel when you have that than it is about what you want. So you're going to help walk people through this process by talking about what excites you because they're going to be drawn into your energy. And then it's so much easier. They can identify with feeling the way that you feel about these products, even if they're planning to use a completely different product, right? It's you've given them confidence now that this product line, this company is going to give them products that will give them results, that what they will love, that they will feel as passionate about the way that you feel about things. Have a great day. Yes. Um, and so we need to talk about what is true and we need to be honest. So saying something like, I'm stepping into something new and I thought of you. That's a truth, right? I don't know if this would be your thing, but I think it's worth a look. That's true. Creates curiosity, right? And the thing is that when I talked about setting off salesman alarms, honesty is disarming. The more real and honest you can be to say, I am nervous as all get out to have this conversation with you, or I really don't know the answers to that, but I can find out for you, right? The confidence that you can have with a response, even if you don't have the answer, is powerful. And honesty is disarming. People respect realness and vulnerability. So another thing that we often say to ourselves is, they're probably not interested, right? Drop me a three. You're like, oh, you're making the decision for them. You're like, they're probably not interested. So you need to, again, reframe that because we're telling ourselves a story that we have no clue whether that's true or not. We haven't even presented it to give them the opportunity to choose, and yet we're going to choose for them. Like, how selfish are you? Okay. That's like my little real talk to myself and all of you today is like, who are you to make that decision for them? How selfish is it for us to take the choice away from somebody else by us deciding if they're interested or not? Because I'll tell you what, a year and 15 months ago, when I came across this business, if you looked at me on the outside, I had the happy face on. I was pushing hard, building a different business. And I was putting my happy face on. And for 2 years, I had put my happy face on while I had been with another company before I left that company and started doing my own thing with digital marketing because I just knew that I needed something different. But yet I put on this persona of like, I've got it. I walked with an air of confidence of like, my business is thriving because I was speaking life over my business that really was dying. And and so people didn't see that side of me. They didn't know that I was hurting. They didn't know that I was needing something. I'm so grateful because my friend Lindsay reached out and she was so persistent that she was like, I need you to look at my company. Right. And that was what triggered for me to end up where I am now. But if she had assumed that I was not interested, which I'm sure she probably did to some degree because that's how I came across, but she was bold enough to overcome that and ask me because she saw more potential in me and she believed more in an opportunity that she had her hands on at the time. And that conviction created curiosity in me enough that I was willing to go on an overview, which flipped a switch. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I do want something like this back in my life, which caused the deep dive that ended up putting me where I am today. But I'm grateful for her ask. I'm grateful for her boldness because that was a trigger for me. I already had that stirring and that unsettledness inside of me, but I was too loyal, right? And I was judging myself to say, for me to look at anything else, wasn't loyal. Well, hey, sometimes people need to be presented with things. And so we need to assume curiosity. We need to expect that they're in a neutral place, right? We need to think that they'll maybe be open to it, maybe not, but we need to not expect that they're going to reject us right away. because we don't know where they're at and we don't know what they need. And so we have to stop making decisions for other people because that's our whole job is helping people make decisions. So if we make the decision for them, then we've ruined our, we failed at our job because we're doing the answering instead of them. So most people are neutral, not negative. They're not thinking about you all day. They're not offended, you know. They just need a moment where things are clear. They need a moment of you offering them value so that they can engage with you. And yes, at the end of the day, this is sales, right? And it's the science of influence that you have in sales. Sales is service. Messaging is invitation. Okay. So again, if you sit down to work or to send messages and you get overwhelmed in your own mind and you make it this big deal, I want you to say to yourself, messaging is invitation. All I'm doing is I'm messaging this person to invite them to take a look. I'm inviting them to make a decision. I'm not telling them what decision to make. I'm not forcing their hand. I'm not putting them in an uncomfortable place. I'm going to present the things I'm excited about. I'm going to show them that I want to offer this to them, and it's up to them if they want to take it or not. So, messaging is an invitation. And no worries, have a great day. Influence is earned, it's earned, right? We don't just gain influence by doing things well. We have to, influence, I think, is earned through empathy. It's through people knowing that you care more than caring what you know. It's about people seeing you consistently be the same person, right? It doesn't matter whether you're in a business setting or you're in a private setting or you're online or offline or whatever. It's that you're consistently who you are. The things you stand for matter to you. You're not just preaching it one day and not living it the next, right? And and your confidence matters because people need to borrow your confidence. So science tells us, like there are some scientific details I think that matter when it comes to sales and to making connections with people and to really being able to build influence. Okay, you've probably heard about the rule of reciprocity, right? Are you guys with me on this? The rule of reciprocity is like when you give value, people want to respond. Okay, so it's a give and take in life, this rule of reciprocity. So are you giving value? These are the things to think about, right? When you give value, people want to respond. What about social proof, right? That's social proof is really powerful. Sharing stories of other people winning, whether it's with the products, whether it's with the business, whether it's, it's when you share the screenshot of the feedback that someone gave you about how they're loving their products. That's huge, right? People can see themselves. It's that success is an identity process. They relate to, they see themselves in that other customer because they felt the same way. And so that social proof can really be valuable. Um, the urgency really matters. That scarcity, people don't want to be in a place of scarcity. So when you're sharing something that's time sensitive, um, or like an event or an incentive, and I'm going to share with you guys on a side note, if you did not see, I'm going to challenge you all to go and check your um, promotions folder of your emails because last night corporate sent out an email to all of us as customers. And if you ordered already this month, they offered you, you can get a tub of, some people got offered the tub of Lime Sustain, and some people got offered a pack of essential oils with a little diffuser. And it is limited time. Okay. So last time they did this, the last time I can remember was Mother's Day last year. And they had like you could get the bath bombs if you placed an order. And they ran out. And so it was like I found out about it. I didn't have urgency about telling everybody else because I was like, well, everybody got this email. Well, guess what? By the time I told my team, a bunch of people missed out on it. So again, urgency. This morning, you should be messaging all of your customers that have ordered this month and saying, Oh my gosh, guess what? Do you love free stuff? You can get this free gift if you order again this month, right? So sharing the things that have urgency matters to people. I hope you guys take advantage of that. I know. I wish I got offered the Lime Sustain, but I did not. I got the oils. Anyways, so and then the principle of liking, right? When people will say yes to the people that they know, like, and trust, that's a reality. That is something that we know. So instead of let me convince you, right? I don't want to be in the business of convincing people. I want to create connection. I want to add value. I want to bring clarity so that their decision becomes easier because I'm in the business of helping people make decisions. So if you were going to write out a message to someone today, and I'm going to challenge you to do this even here, this is like a little work session, right? I know. I couldn't help myself either. So if you were going to write out a message today, just one message, and you don't have to send it yet, but if you just wrote a message and you put it in the chat or even in your notebook if you're not willing to share, but if you use that kind of formula that we've talked about today of like clear, you want your message to be clear, you want it to create curiosity, you want it to connect, and you want it to be confident. So if we use that kind of framework to say, hey, so and so, you came to mind this week. I've started something that's helping me earn from home while staying super aligned with my values. No pressure at all, but like, would you be open to a quick overview of what I'm doing? Right? I challenge you guys to draft a message, something really basic where you can offer this to others. And feel free, share it in the chat. I'd love for us to read the variations and the personal tone and touch that you guys could each add to your message. But I think, yeah, absolutely. So if we talked about that kind of framework, right? So we said we want the message to be clear, we want it to create curiosity, we want it to help us connect with the person, and we want it to convey our confidence. So to say something like, hey, you came to mind this week. I've started something that's helping me earn an extra income from home. And your fifth order, Miranda, sorry. That's crazy. Um, that's helping me earn income from home while staying super aligned with my values. No pressure at all, but would you be open to taking a quick look at what I'm doing? Right? Just keep it simple. What I know is that words truly matter, and we can talk further. This talk went longer than I thought today, but I hope it gets your wheels turning, right? And there's certain we can talk about words that set off salesman alarms and words that don't. But I think, when it comes to the way that our words touch and impact people, right? There's a verse that I love that just says like words are like honeycomb sweet. They're so sweet to the soul and healing to the bones and pleasing to the ears, right? The words that we say matter, not just in business, but in life, in leadership, in the legacy that we're leaving. And I truly believe that God can use your voice to reach people in ways that we'll never understand. We have no concept how much and on what different levels. Like, you see these posts all the time about be kind. You never know what someone's going through. It's so true. And so we have to trust that God will just put the right people in our path. He'll give us the right words to say. We just have to be bold and willing to share and to say it. So I would say that today's challenge for all of us is to go and to pick one person that you've been holding back from messaging and to craft a message using what we've talked about today as a framework and then to just send it. Don't overthink it. Just be real, be bold, be vulnerable, right? And see what comes of it. All right, I love it. Here's an example. Hey, I've been working on something from home that aligns with my values around wellness and freedom. It's been a good fit for me so far, and I thought of you. Would you be open to taking a quick look? I love it. That is absolutely what we're talking about here. right? It's not difficult. It's just be thoughtful. Take a minute and put this together. And I love it. I can tell a little bit more about you from the things that matter to you and what you said. Steph says, "Hi, we found an awesome store. Oh, we found an awesome store that we absolutely love everything we get, and it's helping add a little extra funds to our bank account monthly. I thought of your family because I know you are always on the go and enjoy connecting with people. Would you be open to chatting more about the store?" Perfect. Perfect, right? I love it. Anybody else? You can come on and practice just saying it out loud if you want to. So good. Look at that. We use Chat GPT for that one, Tony says. Hey? You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't even have to come up with the words yourself, right? But I love that even when you go in to talk to ChatGPT, you have to tell them how do you want it to come across. And so you're being more intentional about the words you're saying because you're saying, I want it to convey this energy. I want it to feel this way. I want it to come across in this way. So do that. Take some time to tell ChatGPT if that's how you want to do it, right? It's a tool that can really make your life a whole lot easier these days. And I think that, again, it's that process of you sitting down and saying, how do I want to make people feel? What is it that I'm trying to communicate and convey here? And how can I create some curiosity? Oh, tell us your in-home invite, Cynthia. I love that. She says, I'm reaching out because I really want you to be a part of something important to me. Ooh, I like that. Important to me. This Thursday at 6:30, I am, oh, this Thursday at 6:30 p.m., I am hosting a little gathering, friends, fun, and a fresh way to shop. And I can't stop thinking about how much I want you to hear what I found. We'll be sipping, testing, touching, and trying products that have completely changed I think the way I think about what we bring into our homes. I've partnered with Melaleuca, and honestly, it's more than a store. It's been a blessing for our health, for our finances, for peace of mind, and I care too much about you to not share it. Even if it's not for you, I just want you to know it's out there. I love this. It would mean everything to me if you came, even just to support me and see why I'm so passionate. Plus, fun giveaways, lots of laughs, and a room full of people who care about making better choices. Can I save you a spot? It would mean more than you know. That is such a genuine approach, Cynthia. I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing. I hope that you guys took note of that. Copy it, write it down. Hey, I found something that's made my life a little easier, and I think it might do the same for you. It's a wellness store with everyday essentials. Think cleaners, vitamins, coffee, even skincare. Totally changed how I shop. Would you be open to hearing more? Love it. Guys, it's not difficult, right? Are you feeling excited to go and send these messages? Because it's genuine. You're coming from a place of care. You're following a framework that makes it not too difficult. Hey, I've had you on my mind and I finally got a sec to message you. I've been doing something that's been helping me earn some extra income from home, and it's totally aligned with my beliefs and values, and I believe this may be something that you would be interested in. No pressure, but would you be open to taking a look? Love it. These are so good. Look at you guys, get your creative juices going and it's just gonna fly out of you. We should start a thread. Everybody's gonna wish they hadn't missed this call and all of these great ideas, right? So take note of them, copy some of these down, go throw them in your group chats. Say, hey guys, this is what we discussed on mindset this morning. And another thing I'm gonna say actually is we all need to do. Yesterday, we had a seniors and above call, and we were just talking about how important community is, right? And we need community. We need to be together. We learn, we grow together. And so when we're on these calls, I'm going to challenge you guys every morning, every Zoom that we're on, okay? Let's do this for this week at least. Every Zoom that you're on, take a picture, post it, tag some of the people that you know. I love it when you guys tag me and I can share these into my story because I get so busy chatting. I don't put anything up. But if you took one takeaway from our calls in the morning and you made a post about it with a picture of us all being on this Zoom together. And as I said, you're welcome to invite people, whether they're customers or not, whether they're in another business or whatever, you're welcome to invite people to come to this call. And people are craving community. And so find a way to bring them in. Show them that you're in a place where you're surrounded with people that think positively, that help you grow your mindset and move forward in life. It is very powerful. And so I challenge you guys to do that and to put up a post, put it in your stories, show them how many times a day you have the chance to connect with other people in this business. Okay? And I will say we are doing our calls with Bracken, our accountability calls at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, in the evening, Eastern time. So if that's something that you want to be a part of, plug in where you can plug in. Show people I have all of this support. There are people in other businesses who do not have the support, who do not have corporate like we have, who do not have a community of people. Like I am not, I would say 99% of people here, I'm not connected to, right? Like it's not about that. It's about the fact that we have this mindset here that we want to help each other, that we want to make people better. We want to enhance people's lives, right? And so we're doing that. And I think that it is absolutely amazing. And the world needs to see it because people don't know how much community you have. So talk about it more, share about what you have more, and it's going to be it's going to be amazing as we go out there and we share with confidence today what we have. So let's go make those approaches. And I hope that you guys have major, massive success. And I hope that you come back tomorrow with stories of getting feedback that's way better than you were expecting, and just feeling really great. And I hope your confidence levels soar today. So, all right. I am going to close this out because we are running late today, but I appreciate this. All right. Well, dear Lord, I just thank you for this time that we again get to spend together in the morning. I thank you for this community that we have here, how we can lean on each other, how we're sharing ideas, how we're growing together. And truly, our leadership, all the boats rise when the water comes in. And so I just thank you, Lord, that you're bringing us all to a higher place in our businesses, in our life, and in our thinking. And I thank you that we are capable of creating new ideas and having new habits, and we can form them at any time. We are not too old to learn new tricks. And I just thank you that we can be here having these new little brain cells growing as we think about these concepts. So I pray that today, as we approach people with confidence, that you'll give us the courage to actually follow through. That every single person on this call, that even in this moment, I just ask, Lord, that you would just give each of us a name. Just just be open to hearing the name that is being laid on your heart right now. And I challenge you to go and approach that person because they need this, even if you would look at them from the outside and think they don't need this. And I thank you, God, that when we look on the outward appearance, you look on the heart. You know where people truly are at in their lives and what it is that they're needing. And so I pray that you'll send us as an encouragement, as a voice that speaks into the darkness, and as a person that adds value today. And I just thank you that you can use it all for your good and to move us forward in life. So thank you for your peace and your presence and being here with us today, and guide our steps as we step out into the rest of this week. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, have a beautiful day. And I can't wait to hear how all of this goes. And if you make a post about this call, tag me. All right, have a good one.